It's good to have you back.
Yeah,
man.
it's good to be here. This is fun.
Well, tell us, why did you create Titania McGrath?
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, she's a Twitter character predominantly, and I started it about in last April. And the idea of the character was to kind of embody that kind of radical, fourth-wave feminist, intersectionalist, woke activist. And I did it as a satirical character on Twitter, and then she got a book deal, and then then turned into a live show, and that's sort of that's how it happened to sort of run away out of my hands a little bit.
And why do you think it struck such a nerve? Because you started it last April. How many Twitter followers does it now have?
Oh, I don't like 380,000, I think. But I think what happened was very early on, because I did it sort of as for myself, you know, as a kind of laugh. And very early on, what happened is it started getting retweeting a lot, and particularly because I wanted her to be like a slam poet. So because I really like slam poetry. Well, you know, it's so bad, isn't it? And it's like it's really bad. And I love watching them do it because they stand there and they sort of do that really sort of self-important pausing at the start, you know, where like, I've just got to get into character, and then they launch into it, and it's just terrible. And and it's always really earnest. I love that sort of stuff. It's really earnest, and it's about important things. It's my truth, you know. And so I thought it'd be quite good for her to do that. And so when I was writing the poems and putting poems out there, they tend to get retweeted quite a lot. And then it started getting retweeted by sort of more prominent, what they call amplifiers, like on Twitter. And then she got permanently banned. And so she'd been banned a couple of times, right? And then she was permanently banned. And I had an email saying, Titania's gone, you cannot come back. And then loads of people sort of kicked off about it. Then they emailed me again saying, oh, it's all right, she's back again. So they undid the permanent ban, right? Twitter call it a permanent suspension, which is a semantic contradiction, but they're not literate, you know. So they're not though. And so they obviously, like, so this is the weird thing about it. Like, so she's had now 4 7-day suspensions, multiple 1-day suspensions, a full permanent ban. So Twitter obviously don't like this character. They're not going to verify her. They won't do anything like that. So they hate the character because of ideological reasons. Because of course, Twitter and YouTube and Google and Facebook, all of these big sort of Silicon Valley tech giants are all very woke. And they all have the same political mindset. And actually they have to, in order to get a job, because there are thousands of moderators at these companies who sit there, and there's these woke people who sit there deciding, no, you can't say that, you should say this. These little Mary Whitehouses, but they're just trendy and young, you know, and they're deciding what you should and what you shouldn't say. And in fact, you have to answer a questionnaire in order to get the job to prove that you're sufficiently woke. And that's why they've all got the exact same mindset. So they obviously hate Titania, you know, but it was after the ban. Just to make the point, that after the permanent ban, when that was revoked, the next day I got 20,000 followers within 24 hours because it's the Streisand effect. So you ban someone and then they get amplified. So that's really why it's. Well,
we recently had the same thing with the interview we did with Posey Parker.
Yeah,
it was a very controversial gender. There we go. Somebody watched it. So it got taken down from YouTuber's quote hate speech,
yes.
And then 2 days later it got reinstated, and then now it's got 10 times the views that it had at the time.
Right, exactly. But it never works. This stuff never works. I don't understand why. If you know anything about history, you know that censorship doesn't work. It just gives the ideas you're trying to crush a kind of credence, and so it's self-defeating on their part. You know what I mean? I think if they hate what you stand for, then don't draw attention to it.
Well, in Weimar Germany, they had hate speech laws against anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
You could not be anti-Semitic.
Right, exactly. I mean, Goebbels was prosecuted. All sorts of Nazis were prosecuted under hate speech laws, and they used it as a major PR exercise. And it gave them a massive boost. And this is the big myth about hate speech. It's like, you know, if only we'd had hate speech laws to stop Hitler. No, it helped him. It always happens like this. And the phrase hate speech doesn't mean anything. Yeah. It means the opinion I don't like. You can't quantify that. And for me, this is why I do believe that hate speech laws need to be abolished, full stop, because I don't trust the state. I definitely don't trust Silicon Valley plutocrats, you know, billionaires, avaricious capitalists who claim to be good and noble. I don't trust them, and I don't trust the state. I don't want anyone deciding what I can say. And plus, people should be allowed to, if they hate things, they should be allowed to say so. It's not up to me. You know, the way you deal with that is you attack those people. Like, I don't want to live in a society full of racists and homophobes and the rest of it, but I'd rather they were able to say what they think.
We know who they are.
Firstly, we know who they are. You don't drive them away so that they sort of fester and never be challenged. That's the first thing, because that just endorses their own views. That emboldens them. And the other thing is, I don't think that's the best way to. I think any response to nasty, offensive speech is to critique, ridicule, counter-argue, or whatever, because that way you can deal with it. But trying to shut it down actually always inevitably amplifies that. And that's why I say this a lot, and I'm very serious about this, and I think people don't take it seriously. I believe that the woke movement and the social justice movement, as it currently stands, is doing the PR on behalf of the far right. It is amplifying and boosting the far right without meaning to. I think it's probably well-intentioned, but I think it's doing all the wrong things, and it is self-defeating.